about the game of the weekend. I mean, let's be honest. All these games are good. I said it to Peter Schrager earlier. They're all good, but we are in agreement, I think, universally as football fans, that we are here for Baltimore at Buffalo, Lamar versus Josh, all that good stuff. And again, last time you were here, Baltimore was, I think they were gearing up to play Pittsburgh. And you and I were saying, hey, let's pump the brakes on Josh Allen as the undisputed MVP, because this guy Lamar over here is having an even better year than he already did last year. And sure enough, I meet up with you again a month later, and the guy's the first ever 4,000 passing yard, 800 rushing yard, 40 plus touchdowns, whatever you want to throw on it. Do you think, and we won't know for a little while longer, obviously, and this game will not affect the MVP vote, but do you think Lamar Jackson did enough to win a second consecutive MVP?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because the Vegas odds actually favor Lamar to win the MVP. So maybe everybody was listening to us during that podcast, since we were saying Lamar Jackson should be the MVP. I absolutely believe that Jackson should win his third MVP. I mean, when you look at what he's been able to do this season, to over 40 touchdown passes, to rush for 900 yards, to throw for 4,000 yards. Nobody has ever done that in the history of the NFL. His numbers are better than Josh Allen. The only difference is Josh Allen has a slightly better overall record. But when I look at most valuable player, the best player in the NFL this season, it is Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, Maryland. He has been unstoppable this year, and I believe he's going to prove it again on Sunday in Buffalo. He's going to have an MVP type performance, and I'm predicting that the Ravens will get the victory.
I love it. You're standing on business, man. I don't even have to like goad these predictions out of you. You're just giving them to me, I guess. And look, at the end of the day, I think I feel guilty saying it, because Josh Allen is a worthy MVP. You know, like, to go back to the preseason narrative, if you will, just, you know, Stephon Diggs traded out of town, so many veterans released off that team. It's a reboot. We're taking a step back, and Josh is going to have to be the guy. And he absolutely has been, 40 plus touchdowns in his own right. His passing numbers aren't as good, but he has carried this Bills offense. He's been the engine of everything that they do. And where if I'm a Bills fan, I'm saying Lamar at least had Derrick Henry to lean on week after week after week. And Josh Allen, really, if he wasn't on, it was not happening for the Buffalo Bills. So I get it. I really do. And like I said, I feel guilty. I think Lamar has been that singular. And, maybe if only we could go back in time and maybe give last year's MVP to somebody else. I don't know. But this year, I just think Lamar Jackson has been the best player in football. That's just how I feel. And I'm sad that opinion means somebody's not going to win MVP, but I think it should be Lamar.
Maybe in a normal year, when another quarterback didn't have a historically great season, then you can give Josh Allen, the MVP. And this is not a knock on Josh Allen. Like you said, he's had an excellent year. The Bills lost Stephon Diggs, and I was one of the first ones to say the Bills weren't going to win the AFC East. They were going to miss the playoffs. I was proven very wrong in that prediction. And Josh Allen has been the MVP of that team and has led the team tremendously into the postseason. And I do think he's had a fine season, and not only passing the ball, but running the ball and giving the ball to a collection of different receivers. They got Amari Cooper later in the season, but they didn't really have a number one wide receiver for a majority of the season. So yes, he deserves a lot of MVP praise, but to cast my vote, in my opinion, he did not have a better year than Lamar Jackson. I don't care who Lamar Jackson had in the backfield. Derrick Henry, yes, he's had a fine season, second best running back in all of football this year. But yeah, Josh Allen's not the MVP. It's Lamar.
So let me ask you this, and I appreciate your confidence, because Lamar was phenomenal last week against Pittsburgh. He was phenomenal against Houston in the divisional round. Like, he's played well in playoff games, but
Yeah.
we know he has come up short in big moments at times during his career. That is half the narrative in this game. Is, will Lamar Jackson finally play up to his potential in a huge spot like this against a quarterback like Josh Allen? We know the Ravens can beat the Bills. They beat the hell out of them earlier this year. But what makes you so confident that it'll happen in this spot on Sunday?
To me, I believe the Ravens have learned from their past mistakes. Last year, they forgot how to run the football and they stopped handing the ball off. They stopped using that ground and pound attack against the Chiefs. And that's a reason why they lost that game. Now, with especially with Derrick Henry in the backfield, you have to know that your identity, your bread and butter, is to be a run oriented offense and play through Derrick Henry and then let Lamar Jackson cook throwing the football and run read options with Lamar and Derrick. That's the most explosive running play in football with those two running read options. So I believe if the Ravens dial up the run 30 times, and I'm talking about with Derrick Henry and Lamar, that's the recipe for success because you have a player in Derrick Henry that, especially this late in the season, it's going to be cold in Buffalo. Those linebackers, those defensive backs aren't going to want to tackle Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter. We saw it last week against the Steelers. There were a lot of defensive players making business decisions in the second half against the Steelers when they were trying to tackle Derrick Henry. And so, to me, that's what the Ravens need to do. And then quietly, the Ravens defense has played a lot better in recent weeks, especially later in the season. I believe that they're starting to gel and they're starting to play better, especially in that secondary. And that's going to pay dividends in Buffalo as well.
Yeah, I can't stop thinking about the photo of Patrick Queen chasing Derrick Henry in that game. And the freeze frame on Patrick Queen's face just looked like it said, "What the hell have I gotten myself into?" And I'm glad you brought that up because, okay, Josh Allen's going to need to play an amazing game if the Bills are going to win this game. I think that goes without saying. But the big variable I want to see is those guys you just mentioned. And if you're a Bills fan, you're probably telling me right now, Matt Milano missed the first game between these teams. He tore his bicep in August. He missed the vast majority of the season. Looked great against Denver. I felt like he kind of needed some time to get his feet underneath him when he first came back from injury, but he looked a lot like the Matt Milano I remember against Denver. And if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you need that guy flying around, guessing right on every read option. Terrell Bernard too. I'm curious to see if the Bills' run defense can keep up with this because they were undermanned last time, but it looked really gnarly the first time these teams played. Derrick Henry had 200 rushing yards. That just ain't going to work in a playoff game.
One thing that does scare me about this game and that Buffalo has the advantage on is Zay Flowers might not play. He has not practiced yet this week. And so if he doesn't play, then that a bigger emphasis goes on, the uh, Batemans of the world, the Isaiah Likely's of the world, the Mark Andrews. They're going to have to step up in the passing game if Zay Flowers does not play. And there are going to be moments where the Bills stack the box and force Lamar Jackson to throw to his pass catchers. And Zay Flowers is the receiver that separates from coverage better than anybody else in Baltimore's offense. So that's going to be a huge loss for Baltimore. But I do think Derrick Henry in the backfield will fill the void because they're going to be a run-oriented offense.
I thought at the beginning of the week, I thought that I was going to be really special and different picking the Ravens to win. And then I saw, the Vegas line has shifted over the course of the week. The Ravens are road favorites last time I checked, which is a wild thing to say about going to play Buffalo and Josh Allen and everything that means. I'm sure the Bills feel some type of way about being underdogs in their own house, but I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I think Lamar Jackson finds a way to get it done, get back to the AFC title game. I'm hoping it's as good as it sounds on paper. Tyler, This was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you hopping back on with me. We'll catch up again soon when we learn the fate of the MVP race. You and I can we can re-examine all of this, but I do appreciate it, man.
We got to disagree the next podcast.
I know.
The next time I got to disagree with you.
Too much harmony here. We got to find something we really disagree on. We'll work that up. But in the meantime, man, this was fun. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Have a good one.